evening, everybody, or whatever time of day it is for all you people watching this video. I am just an ordinary dude,
And I'm
and
Fictional Media Bully.
yeah, he's a right dosser, but he's all right, really. Yeah, and today we are going to. It's going to be a Loud House themed discussion, and we're
So
going to
if
be
you
talking.
remember our last podcast, the very first one was a disaster.
Not
A
really. It was
disaster.
all right. I mean, okay. You sounded like a bit of a dick, but that's normal. Everyone expects that. You
let's
know.
let's just say we try to cram too much into 15 minutes, so we're just focusing on one topic. Is that
Yeah.
all right?
Well, no. I mean, it was only ever supposed to be, in brief last time, but now we're going to focus on something a bit more niche, a bit more specific. So, Lenny Loud, um,
Yes,
her
we're going to focus
episodes.
on probably the most, shall we say, um, well, the character that, depending on which era of the program you're talking about, I would either call one of the worst characters or
Yeah.
one of the best.
Well, I've always considered her, in terms of like how well she's been written and portrayed in the show, as one of the best ones. I mean, I know you're not a fan of some of her earlier episodes. You dislike Driving Miss Hazy a lot more than most people, I think. But
Driving Miss Hazy is illustrated radio, and
yeah,
you know it.
Oh,
yeah,
shut up, you
whatever.
tot.
I still like it. You know what he's like. Um,
Wow.
but
You
yeah,
really hate me.
I don't hate you. I was the only one who defended you, and everybody else hated you. That's the thing.
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Like pretty much 95% of the fandom on those sites is a DOSer.
Yeah, including you.
Oh, charming.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So obviously, it was probably around season 3 where she really like. She was already a good character. She was already like a funny
Let's slow
character in
down
the
a bit
fact.
and
Yeah.
talk about how she was in the first two seasons.
Okay. I
So
mean, for me, I think she was still very funny. Not fully developed yet, but still like a very fun presence. And
she had
Liliana
four
Murray still played her really well. Yeah.
if I remember, she had four at most episodes.
Yeah.
Uh, the first one was Driving Miss Hazy, which
Yeah.
like the nostalgia is why I don't hate it that much, honestly. But it's not really like if you seriously if you can put a square through a square shaped hole, you probably won't like Driving Miss Hazy that much. I'm just
Right.
saying.
Well, just to make a bit of a point, back then the episodes focused on the family as a whole more often. So most of the sisters only had like individually a small handful of focal episodes themselves back then. That's just how the show was in that era of the program.
I get it.
Um, so obviously, yeah, that's a norm. Like pretty much every sister had only 3 or 4 episodes in the first 2 seasons. But from what we like, her general portrayals in the episodes that she was in, she was generally like still a very likable and funny character. There were obviously blunders because in the early seasons, mainly because of Chris Savino, there were a lot of inconsistencies with the characters, bad portrayals more so than there are now. I'd still say she was a fun character, like in seasons 1 and 2.
I think the first decent episode she had, I can't remember what the name was anymore, but it was about the family watching a spider or something, and Lenny is like afraid of
I
spiders
think
or
was
something.
it called Along Came a Sister.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
it.
Along
That's
came a
that's
sister.
the
I couldn't
one.
quite
And
remember
they
it.
got a spider, like a pest exterminator, to try and kill the spider, but then
Yeah,
they sort of saved it and all that sort of thing. And it was
it
an alright episode. It was solid. It was fun.
it was solid. Yeah, it was a decent cartoon. And then her next appearance, well, technically, if do we even count Brawl in the Family as like one of her major appearances in
Not
the early
really. It
seasons?
was just a general family episode. Yeah, Laurie and Lenny were like the catalyst of the conflict, but I wouldn't call it a Laurie and Lenny episode. Not really. It featured
Yeah,
all the
pretty
sisters
much.
pretty much equally. It was a Lincoln episode. It was a typical Lincoln and sisters episode.
Yeah, and speaking of someone who likes Brawl in the Family, let's not talk about that now, shall we?
Yeah. See, this guy has the weirdest opinions, doesn't he?
I have the weirdest objective facts.
Ah, yeah. Oh,
But
shut up, you tot.
technically, I think after Along Came a Sister, her next real appearance was change of heart because she did have a genuine moment in that one,
Yeah, but
even though it was more of a
she was all
Laurie.
right in the episode, but the episode itself was garbage.
She was probably the only decent thing of that cartoon,
Yeah,
honestly,
pretty
and
much.
some good
Pretty much.
animation.
Yeah, it was a terrible episode otherwise, so that kind of ruins any good
Insulting.
portrayal that she had. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's in my top three worst episodes, probably.
it's
Certainly
in
top
my
five.
it's in my bottom two. The only episode I would say is worse is Back Out There because at least Change of Heart has decent animation.
It might be my number two, actually, thinking about it. Again, you know what my number one is, Study Muffin, but yeah.
Oh, let's not get into that now. Stunny
Like,
Muffin is like, oh, Lenny went from being likable to a creep.
everyone went from being likable to a creep in that episode.
I would say Lenny's first actually good cartoon is no spoiler. I
Yeah,
surprisingly thought about this one when I was rewatching the earlier seasons.
yeah,
Like, yeah, this one is really good. Lenny like is often spoiling the parties, but
yeah,
she's the reason why they're even
yeah.
good.
But like I was saying just a few minutes ago, when she really came into her own has to be season three, right? Shot Girl, I think, was a big turning point for her character.
Shop
Uh,
Girl, aka the first Lenny Loud episode that could be considered unapologetically great.
yeah, and it's one of my favourites actually. Probably
It's
my
really good.
possibly
I
in my
love
top,
it.
might be in my top 20. I'm not sure, but it
I
is
love
really
it.
really good.
Rewatching
Oh
season
yeah, it's a
three,
really
or as I
fun.
like to
Yeah,
call it,
yeah,
series three, whatever. Rewatching series three was a blast for reasons like that, even though not every episode was a hit. I'll just
yeah.
say.
Look, season three again. It has a few duds in there, but every season does. It's known as the best season of the show so far for a reason.
According to the loud minority, it is.
Oh yeah, we're going through this again. He often likes to say that the majority of the fans
Let's
are the
not get into
kids.
this
Yeah,
now. We're
yeah,
talking
okay,
about Lenny.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So Shot Girl, exceedingly funny episode, but also great turning point for the character. She not only demonstrates why her kindness is an asset and a virtue rather than the vice that everyone thought it was, but also she gets a job at Reininger's, um, and obviously that sticks, that stays there, and is continued into later episodes.
It's quite
Um,
amazing. And then after that was Everybody Loves Lenny, which was pretty good. Not one of my favorites.
Everybody Loves Lenny was solid from Lenny's point of view. I do think the friends came across as kind of like needlessly jerkish. It's like, why are they getting this catty with each other? It's like, come on, you know?
Simple. They're jealous that one group is having Lenny over and
Yeah, it's like they can't
not
just get
them.
along and hang out together like they eventually did. It's like, what? I
I
get the
mean,
idea, but it is just like a forced conflict, and yeah.
really, people in general are stupid. They don't figure out the obvious until it's a bit too late.
Well, this is true. God, don't need to tell me that.
Anyways, but I would say the first episode that started to have Lenny form into an actual character was season four's Leader of the Rack. Now, Leader of the Rack is not one of my favorites. Every time I rewatch it, I'm always like, there is something a bit missing with this one because it's Jessica Borski's first directing role in the program, so something about it feels a bit off.
Well, yeah, she was
But
still coming into
putting,
her own.
putting putting my personal bias aside, it's very good. Very good cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, and then you also had "Don't You Forget About Me," which was another Lenny cartoon around
I'll
that
get into that
season.
in a minute, but I like that with Leader of the Rack, we started to see Lenny's more like we rarely see her assertive persona in early seasons. I think they never really established
Yeah,
that. It was really four that really began to like
yeah,
form the characters into more three dimensional versions of themselves, pretty much.
yeah,
Some of them, at least, not all of them, but
yeah,
some of them. And Lenny was like the most obvious one. It's like, okay, she's more assertive, she's more responsible, and Don't You Forget About Me kind of took that a bit further, where like when you combine with her anxiety of Laurie not being with her in person anymore,
yeah,
her assertive persona essentially makes her lose sight a little bit of her kind, selfless self, which is an interesting character flaw. They don't explore it that much, but
yeah,
it is interesting when it pops up.
yeah, absolutely. Um, and yeah, as we keep going on, like if we'll try and keep it sort of to the point, but basically, as each season passes, you know, she grows more and more as a character, and
Is it funny? Is
she
it funny
develops.
though that is it funny though that in Driving Miss Hazy, Laurie sabotaged Lenny's success, which pretty much almost potentially got her killed.
Yeah,
And in Don't You Forget About Me, Lenny like almost sabotaged Laurie, preventing her from getting into college.
yeah. Well, Fairway University, but yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah. I suppose it is a bit of a weird, ironic turn of events, but
I
yeah,
once received a comment where they
yeah.
said
But the difference is
that's
like,
just teenage
yeah,
logic.
Laurie did it like purely for sort of like spiteful reasons, like she wanted to maintain control over the siblings, whereas
Whereas
Lenny,
Lenny just did it for a reason related to
yeah,
the
it was still
emotional
selfish, but it
anxiety.
was like she meant well in her own sort of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like you can understand where she's coming from, but
yeah,
the way she expressed it was obviously
yeah.
wrong,
But
and she
then,
realizes it at the
yeah,
end. So
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, I
With
don't.
each Lenny episode from there on out, I think she grows more and more as a character, and obviously
The
by
Boss
season,
maybe and
yeah, season
Election were
five,
amazing.
really great season for Lenny. You know, both those episodes you just mentioned. You know, the boss.
Election is very surprising because it's
Yeah,
like, wow, this pretty much satirizes cancel culture.
yeah, pretty much. And obviously, the boss may be just a phenomenal episode all around. You
It's
know,
basically
really
a
like
tweaked version of No Guts, No
it's like
Glory, which was
it's
already brilliant to begin
yeah,
with.
and I think this could almost make its own video. We were talking about like a trilogy of Lenny episodes. Which one was it? Shop Girl, was it Leader of the Rack, and then this episode, the boss maybe, because obviously as she develops more as a manager at Reiningers, she becomes more assertive, more capable of exercising authority.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, and like
Yeah,
in season one, if Laurie left for Fairway University, Lenny would have been eaten alive by her siblings. But by
yeah.
season
Attention,
five,
choppers.
she's developed the experience and skills necessary to be capable of controlling and handling the chaotic nature of her younger siblings,
Then
which is just
there's
like a great reflection of how far she's come.
season 6 where she has Driver's Dread and Food Courting.
Yeah.
Driver's Dread is the episode Driving Miss Hazy should have been, and I don't mean as in oh Lenny gets her driver's license. I mean let the animation do the storytelling, not so much lazy tell don't show dialogue.
Yeah, fair enough. I still like driving Miss Hazy as well.
That's because you can't put a square through a square shaped hole.
Yeah, this guy loves to trash talk me over a computer screen. But we've met in person and he knows I know where he lives and I can kick his ass.
Oh, you said a cuss word.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine. You know?
Okay, asshole.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is what it is. But anyway, so yeah, we're nearly at the end. We're over 13 minutes into this podcast, so we'll wrap it up. Season 7. By
Bye,
this
Tanya.
point, yeah, by this point, I mean, by Tanya, great episode. By this point, Lenny is a fully fleshed out character and one of my favourites, honestly. You know, she might start out a bit basic, but even
I
then,
was
I'd still say she was really enjoyable. She's up there with Ed from Ed and Eddie for me as like one of the best. Is it fair to call her an idiotic character? She's maybe not as dumb as she initially came across.
she was a dumb blonde stereotype in the beginning, but then
Yeah.
later on,
Yeah, I
they
mean, she
started to
still
realize,
she still
hang
has her
on,
moments by taking certain things too literally, but
they
it's been
started to realize
downplayed later on.
the writers started to realize, oh, she's
Yeah,
actually potentially very smart,
in
but
her
she
own
can
way.
take
Yeah,
certain
she
things.
she has
She
yeah
takes figure of speeches very literally,
yeah she
essentially.
has certain dumb moments, but she is actually more capable than she seems at first glance. Um, but obviously, like in terms of like as one of those characters, like she is up there with Ed as one of like my
She's just a
favorite.
very fun
Yeah,
character. I especially loved her in Food Courting. I was surprised
yeah.
by how good that was
Yeah,
when
I
I
mean, in
revisited
general,
it.
Lenny gets very good episodes these days, which just reflects how far she's come along as a character. And I think, you know, it's just great. Like how certain characters started out in such a sort of lacking or good but not particularly great way, and obviously as the years have gone on, they've had more great episodes.
I would definitely say Lenny is my second favorite of the Loud sisters. What is
Um,
my favorite? Let's talk about that another time. But
yeah,
I just want to end.
yeah,
Shall we end this podcast in just 20 seconds?
yeah. Go well in
Because
about a
I
minute
want to
if you
say
say your
something.
bit. Yeah.
So this goes out to those who really think too much about this or whatever, fans like get old whatever. Gavin is a much better boyfriend for Lenny than Chaz is.
Oh, great! Now I'm gonna get hateful comments all over this video.
Chaz is a
There's gonna
boring
be a war zone
background
down there.
character.
Oh no, you've gone there. You've really gone there, Dosser. Yeah, on my do that
It's,
on your own video.
yes, I know. I
Yeah,
know it's depressing, but it's also the truth.
whatever. I don't really mind either way, to be honest. I don't mind who Lenny ends up with.
At least
Um,
Gavin has a personality.
ooh, right. Go on his channel and say all your hateful comments to him. Don't do it on my video.
Oh, awesome. You're joking to me now.
Yeah. Go on, guys. You know he's the Dosser here anyway. So
Oh, how dare you, Tosser.
yeah. But here's the thing, mate. You are literally the Dosser, and I think we'll call it there. You know,
You say literally way too much like Laurie.
do I?
Literally, literally, literally.
Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, see you, wimps and losers.
Yeah. Of course, that is a hypocritical statement. He's a complete wimp himself. But we'll keep that quiet.